Welcome to the In Love with PMDD podcast. I am your host, Dr. Rose, your PMDD relationship psychotraumatologist, and I help you stop the monthly PMDD breakups. PMDD is premenstrual dysphoric disorder. It is in approximately 1 in 5 women, and it makes you want to break up with your partner approximately 1 to 2 weeks before your period every single month. So as someone who has suffered with PMDD for over 18 years, I dedicated my doctorate practice to helping partners navigate those monthly PMDD breakups with everything from attachment styles, triggers, sensitivity to noise, sensitivity to touch, all of the things that you really struggle with when you're in PMDD. And I also dedicated my dissertation to a phenomenological study of the relationship experiences of partners of individuals who suffer with premenstrual dysphoric disorder. So I'm not just here to help the sufferer, the one who is suffering with PMDD. I am here for the partners as well. So if you need those private sessions, make sure you go to inlovewithpmdd.com and get those tools. So let's get into this week's PMDD trauma transformational tools that is going to help you stop the monthly breakups and stop the suffering and stress in your PMDD relationship. Let's get into it. Today, we are going to be talking about letting go of the blame game in your PMDD relationship. And this is such an important topic because this is one of the 4 pillars that we're working on in the PMDD Partners Breakup Proof Academy. And I've seen this so often, not just in my PMDD relationship, but a lot of my private clients. And it is when you blame your PMDD partner for something, and then they in turn blame you for something, and you end up in this loop of conflict again and again and again. And this ultimately leads to the monthly breakups. And sometimes we don't notice that this is where it started. How many times have you been in a conflict, been in a fight, been in an argument with your PMDD partner, and you're just like, how did we even get here? And a lot of times I ask myself that same question, because after we've had blowups, after we've had so many disagreements, and after it seems like we're arguing about the same things again and again and again, I'm like, how did we even get started in this particular conversation? And a lot of it happened when we started to blame each other, because my PMDD partner is the king of getting defensive when I criticize and I blame. So I am the queen of blaming. It is normally when I'm in PMDD, I'm feeling really stressed and overwhelmed because I have a lot going on. And it's only when I get into PMDD that I begin to start to blame my PMDD partner for not helping me more, for not supporting me more. And what I've noticed over the years, not months, years, is that me blaming my PMDD partner for not being supportive has never caused him to be more supportive. And this has not worked with any of my private clients. And so the first thing I want you to know is that if this is the pathway that you're going on, where you're just blaming them and telling them what they're not doing in hopes that this will cause them to want to do something different, this is not the way to go at it. So I'm letting you know that this episode is going to give you the tools of what to do and what not to do. So the first thing not to do, and that is blame your PMDD partner with your words and your actions, and just telling them that they should be doing something different and they should know how to support you. And can't they see that you're already suffering in PMDD? Why should you be the one that has to tell them that you're suffering? All of these things that are really just condescending and not helpful to a PMDD partner that is genuinely trying to help you. So that's what I want you to know, is that your PMDD partner is genuinely trying to help you. So if you come out the gate with these smart comments of like, and your partner says, oh, is there anything I can do? And it's like, don't you see everything that I have on my plate? Shouldn't you know what it is that I'm supposed to do? You never do this and you never do that. Well, if you come to them with that demeanor, of course, they're not going to want to help you. And of course, they're not going to be giving their best. And of course, if they do help you, they're going to begin to be resentful of it. So I'm going to give you the tools so that your partner can be helpful, be supportive to you in PMDD without them being resentful on the back end. And so what I want you to know is, with any relationship, right? Any relationship, for those of you that are on the brink of breaking up, And I'm going to do a whole nother episode on that. But if you know that you are on the brink of breaking up and you're the one that's scrolling on Instagram and you're seeing all these memes that are telling you that you deserve better, and you're looking at all these couples that seem like they have it all together, and you're feeling like you just need to be with somebody different because the person that you're with is not the right person. You just need to get a different PMDD partner who would be able to help you more, would be able to support you more, that wouldn't go off on you after you go off on them. All of these things that you're thinking about and that you're looking at that is influencing you, feeling like you need to break up. What I want you to know is every single intimate relationship that you are going to be in is going to have challenges. It is going to have challenges. And I don't want you to feel like just because you're going through a phase right now, that it means that you're with the wrong PMDD partner. I thought this so many times, and that's what led to so many breakups with ex PMDD partners, because I felt like they're the problem. I just need to be with somebody different. And then I would get with that different person. And obviously the beginning is always amazing. But then we all of a sudden get to this point where they're starting to do things that trigger me. And that's where the blaming came in. And it was in my mind that if I point out the things that they're doing wrong by blaming them, that they would in turn do something different. But all that happened is they got defensive, they got combative, and then we ended up breaking up month after month, different PMDD partners. So this is not just, one PMDD partner. But what I want you to know is that blaming others for the way that you're feeling and your way of life is a common reaction to anything that's going on in your life and you being triggered. You always want to point the finger outward and say, who's the cause of this? And yes, we can blame PMDD, but PMDD is not a physical entity. So we tend to blame the person closest to us, which is our partners. And we tend to say, it's because of you that this is going on. It's because of you, this. And I actually remember having one of my breakups with my exes, and they literally said to me, I was so shocked. I was actually shocked, by the way, that me and this PMD partner broke up, because we were invested like over 2 years. And, we had kids, not together. I had, my daughter, and he had his kids. And, they were literally integrated with me so much that they were like calling me mom. Like, we were obviously planning to get married. I had a really good relationship with his ex-wife, and everything was just going so great. And he actually broke up with me, and which was very uncommon, because I was normally the one, due to being in PMDD, that would break up with the partner. But he broke up with me, and I tend to do this thing of like asking, like, oh my gosh, why did we break up? Like, what could I have done better? Like, I do this with all of my exes. And I think that's the psychologist in me, is just wanting to know the why. And he said, I can't always be the one that is the bad guy. I can't always be the one that is the person that is doing something wrong and the cause of everything. And that's when I noticed that my blaming had pushed my PMDD partner away so much that he felt like he had no option but to break up with me. And this was someone that I was planning a whole life with. And I was shattered. And there was nothing that I could tell him after he had made up his mind to break up with me to even get him back, because he was able to see the pattern of whenever something went wrong in our PMDD relationship, I would initially go to blame him, and I wasn't taking any accountability of my actions, right? I was always saying, no, it's your fault because you did this and you did this. And it was justified, meaning maybe he didn't get some things right. But at the end of the day, when you live your life in an intimate relationship while having PMDD with blaming, you're just left with yourself and blaming your PMDD partner. And what you need to understand is you can't change your PMDD partner's actions. You can only change your own. And I feel like I was in a place earlier in my journey where I was trying to control the actions of my PMDD partner. And when I felt like I couldn't do that, I would start blaming them for not staying within the realms of what I thought that they should be doing. I wasn't allowing them to be themselves, right? I was just making them feel like everything that they were doing were wrong. They were walking on eggshells, and eventually he left. He actually left. And I couldn't believe that. And I had never had a PMDD partner actually leave. But when he broke it down, it made sense because he gave me like explicit examples of like, listen, you blame me for this. Like, these are things that probably would have happened anyway, but I tended to always blame my PMDD partner at that time. And he was like, I'm not going to live my life feeling like a horrible person when that's not my intentions. So what I want you to know, a lot of times the things that we're blaming our PMDD partners for, it's not their intentions. Even if they hurt you, it may not be their intention to hurt you, but they did. And if they did, accept their apology and move on. Accept their apology and move on. And I'm going to give you these PMDD trauma transformational tools on how you can stop the blaming and just reclaim your power within your relationship to just communicate things. Just communicate things that you don't necessarily enjoy, that you don't like, that are not working for you. There's a way to say that something in your relationship is not working for you without blaming your PMDD partner. You don't have to blame them in order to get it through their mind that this is not working. I'm pretty sure that it may not be working for them either. A lot of things that we're unhappy with, our PMDD partner is also unhappy with. So I don't want you to look at it like it's an attack, because when it's an attack, your PMDD partner is going to get defensive. And when they get defensive, they're really going to get into that mode of, they're not listening to the things that you're saying. They're just thinking about, what can I say to defend myself? Because I know that my intentions, my character don't align with what my partner is saying. So I need to defend myself. And if you're really just trying to have a conversation and say how much something that they said or what they're doing is hurting you, then do that. Do that. So many times I've gotten so much resolutions from me and my PMDD partner. You know, I have a session with him every single week on anything that's going on in our PMDD relationship. And I call it a walk and talk. And, you know, we both go for a walk and we just talk about everything that's going on. This is whether we're together or whether we're apart. And during these walk and talks, it is a lot of things that are being uncovered where it could turn into blaming, right? It's more of a, I'm feeling like this, versus the blaming would be like, I'm feeling like this because of you. And so a lot of times, you know, it has to do with you. So the first PMDD trauma transformational tool is, I want you to take complete responsibility for your emotions of how you're feeling, whether you're in PMDD or not. Take complete responsibility, because when you put that responsibility on your PMDD partner, you're telling them that you made me feel like this and you made me feel like that. But you're negating the fact that you have the power to reframe any thought that comes to your mind, any intrusive thought. And I'm going to do, for the month of September, in the Breakup Proof Academy, it's going to be all about intrusive thoughts. So if that is something that you know that you're struggling with, then you're going to need to join the academy, because I'm going to give you the exact tools of how to get over your intrusive thoughts in a way that you're not doing damage to your PMDD relationship. I'm never going to tell you, you're never going to have another intrusive thought ever again, but I'm going to give you the tools to navigate them. And I know that we all have them. So if you're not in the academy, you need to join to get those tools, because intrusive thoughts for me are the most torturous symptom that I have ever had, you know, out of all the symptoms, even outside of rage, right? Because rage is short-lived. It's like this short burst and then it's gone, like the damage is done. Intrusive thoughts, they linger and they ruminate and they last way longer, way longer. So I'm going to be doing a whole series on that in September, because I really want you to get these tools and be able to reframe your PMDD brain when you're having these intrusive thoughts. Because I know a lot of times you're like, I don't know what's real and I don't know what's not, but I know that what I'm feeling right now feels very real. And so I'm feeling like I should act on that. So if that's something you know you're struggling with and you want to just get out of that loop, you want to have the tools, join the Breakup Proof Academy so that you can get that. But going back to the taking responsibility, right? It is all about you. It is all about your perception when it comes to blaming. Every single time you blame your PMDD partner for what they should do and what they should not do, you are giving them control over how you feel. I know for me, I used to do that all the time, but I'm in this place where I'm not wanting to blame anyone else, because I know if I'm blaming you, that means only you have the power to change this for me. But if I say that it's my responsibility, it's my fault, then I have the power to fix it. When you blame someone, you're giving them the responsibility to fix the situation. Meaning, if I'm blaming you for something, I pretty much can't move on until you apologize for what you did so that I can feel better about the situation. Whereas if I say, you know what, that was on me, that's my fault, I reacted this way, I felt this way, whatever, then I have the space and time to rewire my PMDD brain and actually fix it. So even though your PMDD partner may have done something to you, said something to you, and even PMDD is not your fault. Things that your PMDD partner does to you, says to you, is not your fault, but it is your responsibility to fix them because they now belong to you. So the life that you have, the way that you're thinking, is because of you. It is because of how you chose to react to a certain comment, how you chose to react to a certain action. You look at something that your PMDD partner does and it triggers you. And that's because of the way that you looked at it. And you're not using the tools to reframe it. And I know that, I'm going to talk later on about the love languages, because I know that, and I've been working a lot with this with my private clients, and that is the things that trigger you the most about your PMDD partner are directly linked to your love language. And when I do this training, it's really going to be because, you hear about the love languages and you hear about, words of affirmation and, acts of service and all these things, but you don't recognize that they're directly linked to your triggers. So when your PMDD partner triggers you, there's a reason why. And there's a way that they specifically trigger you that bothers you every single time, because, your PMDD partner may say or do something to somebody else and it not bother them, but they do the same thing to you. And then all of a sudden you're triggered. So I want you to 100% from now on, consider it like a cop out when you blame when you blame your PMDD partner for how you're triggered. When you're triggered, even if it's something, especially if it's something that your PMDD partner did, understand that it's your fault in a way of, okay, I took it this way, but now I have the power to change it. Because I remember one time me and my PMDD partner were in an argument and I was like, I was doing the blaming. I was like, you made me feel like this. You made me feel like that. And he said, I don't have the power to make you feel anyway. You choose to feel however you feel based off of what is happening. Right. So remember, my PMDD partner is a counselor as well. So he pretty much counseled me in saying that our perception of others' actions is what's caused us the most suffering. And I'm going to say that again, because once I learned that, it was a game changer for me, because I was like, wow. So it's not them. It is actually the solution lies within me. So where I'm sitting here like, please let him change, please let him do something different, please let all of these things about my PMDD partner. It's like nothing needed to change within my PMDD partner. Everything needed to change within me. Everything needed to change within me. And it was all a matter of how I chose to perceive the situation that was being presented to me. If my PMDD partner said hurtful words to me, I can choose to take it, believe it, associate it with myself and say, oh yeah, I am really that bad person. I am who they say that I am. I am all these. I can beat myself up. I can genuinely beat myself up over things that my PMDD partner has said in anger. Or I can choose to say, you know what? I know that that's not true about me. I know that my partner is hurting. hurt people. No, I am not excusing or condoning verbal abuse in any way, but I'm knowing that this is said out of anger. So the next PMDD trauma transformational tool is to learn from your past. If you know there's always a pattern in conflict with your PMDD partner, I pretty much know what my PMDD partner is going to do in every single argument. And if you've been with your PMDD partner longer than 6 months, you should know what works as far as conflict is concerned and fights and arguments and what doesn't work. If you disagree with something, you know when it's about to turn into a big blow up based off of what has happened in the past. So I want you to really look back on specific instances where you blamed your PMDD partner for things. What did that look like? What was their reaction? If you know that it turned into them being defensive and into them blowing up, then don't do it again. Because you really have to think about, how did that situation turn out in the end? Did you think about having a monthly breakup because of that blaming? Like, did you distance yourself all of a sudden? Was there a wall built up because, you considered breaking up because you're blaming them for something? Because they felt like the bad guy, because they felt like they're walking on eggshells. Like, I want you to remember that. So many times we're forgetting the outcome. We're acting in the moment and we're forgetting what it's going to feel like later on. When you're blaming with your PMDD partner, stop and think about it right now. I don't care if you have to pause this episode. Think about it. When I blame my PMDD partner in the past, what has been the outcome? How have they reacted? Because a lot of times when you're thinking about after a big blow up, you're like, how did I get here? It started with blaming. Because my PMDD partner is fine with me suffering in PMDD. It is always when I blame my PMDD partner for the way that I'm suffering in PMDD and say it's his fault that we begin to argue. So he would gladly be supportive with me if I was just letting him know, babe, I can't do it today. I'm really suffering. He's fine with me being open and honest about this. But when I start to say, yeah, if you were here, I wouldn't have to go through this and I wouldn't have to do this. Now, all of a sudden, he's the enemy. And I'm blaming him for something. And then now it's almost like I'm taking away, when you blame your PMDD partner, you're taking away their ability to support you, because instead of supporting you, they're busy defending themselves to you. They can't do both at the same time. They can't be a supportive PMDD partner and defend themselves from you at the same time. And you're making that choice for them. So I want you to just get to the point where immediately when something is going on with you, stop and think about, what is my responsibility in this? What can I do to turn this situation around? And if you know that this is something that you've been doing, I've been there so many times where I've like, oh my goodness, I remember when I first figured this out, that I was blaming my PMDD partner on a monthly basis. And what did I have to do? I had to apologize. I had to apologize for the comments that I had made in the past, because it's very belittling to your PMDD partner to make them feel like, even despite their good intentions, if they had good intentions, that you're blaming them for things that they never intended to do to hurt you. Really look at the intentions of the actions of your PMDD partner before you decide to blame them. Think about their intentions. I want you to ask yourself this question before you decide to blame your PMDD partner. Did my PMDD partner do this on purpose? Are they trying to hurt me? I say this all the time. When you stop and pause and ask yourself that question, it's really going to help you to discover how you're supposed to react to them. And whatever you're feeling in PMDD, feelings come and go. Feelings are not facts. Just because you feel something doesn't mean that you're supposed to act on it by blaming your PMDD partner. So in order to change what you're doing, if you know that you're an advocate, like you've been blaming and blaming and blaming, you have to recognize your mistakes and how you're approaching the situation. So the next way to do that, the next PMDD trauma transformational tool, is to think before you blame. If you catch yourself blaming your PMDD partner for situations in your life that are directly linked to PMDD and your suffering, think about it. I've had to do that. A lot of times I've been completely tired, filled with fatigue, and I'm blaming my PMDD partner. I've not had gas in my car. And I'm like, oh, if you were here, if we were living together and you were here, I wouldn't have to do these simple tasks. Like there's so many things that you can blame your PMDD partner for. You get stressed, you get overwhelmed, and then you start to look at what they're doing. A lot of the blame comes with comparison. You're comparing what you're doing to what they're doing. And you're also comparing what they're doing to what another person is doing and say, oh, this other person is doing this and my partner's only doing this. Like you're getting to that mindset of they're not doing enough. They're not good enough. And this is where the blaming comes in. And you really think by calling them out in a way of blaming that you're going to have their actions act differently, but they're not. They're not. So I want you to think before you blame, and I blame your PMDD partner. And if you catch yourself blaming your PMDD partner for a situation that's going on, I want you to really think about that situation thoroughly and ask yourself what really happened. Who did what? A lot of times it's been for me a lack of sleep, a lot of times. And I'm like, who really caused me to have a lack of sleep? And a lot of times it's not a who, it's a what. And the what is PMDD. If I have PMDD insomnia and I'm staying up all night long and then I'm tired the next day, is that my PMDD partner's fault? No. Should I in turn have an ugly attitude with my PMDD partner because I have had a lack of sleep? Absolutely not. It's not your PMDD partner's fault that you didn't get any sleep. So that is not permission to treat them horribly because you're like, oh, I didn't get any sleep last night, so you're just going to treat them like crap. No, you have a responsibility to be in your PMDD relationship and to be kind and to be loving and to be nurturing and for them to do the same thing for you in return. So if you're suffering because of your PMDD symptoms, that does not give you a right to treat your partner like crap because you're suffering and to blame them for it, because that's a source of blaming. Even if you don't do it verbally, if because you're suffering in PMDD and then now all of a sudden you're not showing up the way that you normally do in your PMDD relationship, that's a form of blaming because you're saying, because I'm not feeling it today, because I'm not feeling good, I'm just not going to show up and be loving. If I was only loving when I felt like being loving, nothing would happen. Nothing would get done. I wouldn't be able to sustain a relationship. I would not be able to sustain a relationship if I was only loving when I felt like it. And I think sometimes we're forgetting, because we're suffering in PMDD, that relationships hold a level of responsibility, meaning you have a level of responsibility towards your PMDD partner. You're responsible for your actions towards them, whether you're in PMDD or not. But I want you to give yourself time to process situations. If you feel like you're in a situation where you're overwhelmed and you can't handle a certain situation, don't put yourself in that situation. Tell your PMDD partner that you need space so that you don't do damage. I am literally an advocate for that. I tell my private clients that all the time. If I tell you to do something and you feel like you're not in a place to do it, just tell your PMDD partner you need space, because I would rather you take the space than to go in the situation, blaming them for everything, doing that damage, and then trying to come back on the back end and trying to work out the situation. But now your PMDD partner is closed off. Now they don't want to listen to you because they've been hurt, because you've blamed them. You've made them feel like the bad guy. If I could coin that phrase, and if I could have put that in my dissertation, I would, because there are so many PMDD partners that claim to be the bad guy because the one suffering with PMDD has made them feel like everything that they're doing is wrong. You're not doing this right. You're not doing this right. You need to do this more. You need to do this. You need to do this. And honestly, sometimes some of the things that you're asking them to do aren't really the things that you actually need. A lot of times we don't even know what we need when we're in PMDD. And you know, with my private clients, they're like, I don't know what I need, but I know that I need something different. Okay, well, how does that help your PMDD partner? If you're in that space of discovering what that looks like, that's fine, but don't blame your PMDD partner in the meantime, because you don't even know what you're asking for. You don't even know what you're doing. So there's a level of self-awareness that needs to be in place when you're asking your PMDD partners to support you, so that you're not blaming them for not showing up in ways. You have to be very clear, because every single day Every single day that you're in PMDD, you're needing something different. That is why I created the PMDD Partners Breakup Proof Journal. It's so that you can tell your PMDD partner every single day, this is what I'm feeling. This is what I need. It changes on a daily basis. And if they don't show up the way that you need them to show up and you haven't told them, then you are to blame. I don't want to hear, oh, they should know, they see me suffering. No, unless you've communicated clearly every single day, because you're needing support on a daily basis. So I want you to know that in order to get support on a daily basis, they need guidance on a daily basis, because they know that you're not the same from yesterday, and tomorrow you're probably going to be different. And they're willing to endure all of that, but you need to be clear and not blame them if they fall short on what it is. If they go to the store and you ask them to get some lemons or some chicken and they get the wrong kind, stop blaming them for getting the wrong kind. It is the effort. Because then it becomes the attitude of like, oh, I'm not going to do anything because I guess it's just the wrong thing to do. Eat the chicken, eat the lemons if it's the wrong one. If it's supposed to be organic and it's not organic, eat it, appreciate it. Anything that your PMDD partner is doing, I want you to appreciate it and stop blaming them. Because when you start to blame them, it's going to diminish the actions that they're going to take. They're going to stop acting within the relationship if they feel like everything that they do is wrong. And can you really blame them for that? You're not giving them anything to work towards that's actually authentic and sustainable. And next time your PMDD partner does something for you, whether it's the way that they did it, whether it's right or wrong, just say, thanks, babe. I really appreciate that. You will be so surprised at how many PMDD partners are starved of gratitude for the things that they are doing within their PMDD relationship, because no one is literally thanking them. They're just expecting them to do it. Oh, if they're my partner, of course they're going to do it. Yeah, but can you have a little bit of gratitude? Have gratitude with your PMDD partner for the things that they are doing, and stop looking for the negative in what they're doing and start looking for the positive. Because even if it's one particular situation, if you ask them to clean the house and that's really not their thing, you can find something positive in what they did. Even if it's just that they took out the trash, but the sink is not fully cleared. Like, what you seek, you will find. So if you're seeking to find something positive, speak on that. Because when you speak on those things, they're going to begin to do more of those things. When you speak on negative things, they're going to begin to do more of the negative things. What you speak has power. When you're speaking things and blaming over your PMDD partner, it's like, think of it like a hammer. Every single time that you're blaming them, you're like pushing the nail into the hammer deeper and deeper and deeper. And then eventually they're going to feel constricted and stuck. And that's when they're going to want to break away. That's what happened with my ex-PMDD partner. He was like, I'm not doing this for the rest of my life. I've taken it. It's like one tap on the nail, another tap on the nail, another tap on the nail. And then eventually he's like, listen, if you want to say I'm wrong, I'm wrong. That's how you know your PMDD partner is done. If you go to blame them and they're willing to accept the blame, you've gone too far. Because they literally now believe it doesn't matter what I say, I'm going to be wrong. I'm going to be the bad guy. And that's when you're in dangerous territory, because that is exactly the demeanor that my ex-PMDD partner had before he was planning his escape. So remember, he was planning his escape before I even knew that he was going to escape. So I'm living my life, going through PMDD, out of PMDD, having a good days, making memories, all the things. And every single time I went into PMDD, I would go into blaming. This isn't done. You need to do this differently. How come we don't do this? Blah, blah, blah. Blaming him. He's walking on eggshells. And guess what? He started to plan his escape, which I'm pretty sure took like 2 to 3 months. So you can imagine. So I don't want you to, if you're the one that's suffering with PMDD, don't get too comfortable, because that's what happened to me. I got way too comfortable with the blaming game. And there is an elastic limit on this. There's only so much that your PMDD partner can take with blaming. I know this for a fact, because when I had the conversation with him, he forgoed a relationship after a couple years, integration with kids, all of these things because of blaming. Did we have other things going on in our relationship? Of course, like every other couple that we could have worked out, but this was a specific thing because I asked, because I needed to know my market research. I'm like, okay, you're breaking up with me, but like I need to know what's really going on, like why. And when he told me that, all I could do was really take responsibility for like putting us in this situation. I couldn't even fight it. And so my last PMDD trauma transformational tool is seek professional guidance when it comes to blaming. If you know that this is a pattern that you do in your PMDD relationship, there's no shame in asking for help if you can't seem to shake the blame game. If you find yourself and your PMDD partner in this vicious, unproductive cycle of pointing the fingers at each other again and again and again, and you're really not knowing the tools to use. This is what the Breakup Proof Academy is for. These are what my private sessions are for. Take advantage of the tools that I'm offering to you so that you can get yourself out of this spiral. Because I really wish that there was someone when I was going through this, when I was in PMDD, that specifically was talking about blaming, because it could have saved a lot of relationships. And not saying that I was meant to be with those people, because I absolutely believe that I'm supposed to be with my current PMDD partner, but I do think that the way that they ended, it didn't have to be that way. But I think it was so dramatic and traumatic because I spent so much time blaming my PMDD partner again and again and again, and kind of dangling that carrot and making them feel like no matter what they did, they were never going to be good enough. They were never going to show up in a way that was going to cause me to be content, because I'm always going to have something to say about how you're doing things, how you're saying things, because I'm suffering in PMDD. Now, when I was in my follicular days and my good days, this didn't happen. It strategically happened only when I was in PMDD, and I recognized that. But I also initially wasn't in a place of changing it. And I don't want you to get that comfortable. Don't say, oh, this is just how I am. This is because I'm suffering with PMDD. No. Having PMDD does not give you permission to blame and shame your PMDD partner. It does not. So if you know that that's something that you're struggling with, just come get help, come get the tools, come get the support so that you can get yourself out of this cycle. It's going to help not only you to just release some of that blame and just say, you know what, I know what I can do about this. I know how I can make it better. And then it is going to be so beneficial for your PMDD partner. And if you know that your partner is the one that does the blaming, have them join. When one of you join the PMDD Partners Breakup Proof Academy, you both have access to it. That is the beauty in it. Okay. So one membership works for both of you as a couple. That's the value in it. So if you've not joined, make sure you go join. The link is in the show notes. You can go to www.inlovewithpmdd.com. You'll see it right there, Breakup Proof Academy. We meet every Tuesday on live Q&As, and then every Monday, a new lesson is uploaded into the membership portal. I can't wait to see you in there, because this month we are really diving into the 4 pillars of PMDD conflict, because I'm tired. I am tired of going through monthly breakups and really, in a sense, that it is dealing with conflict. I'm tired of seeing PMDD partners go through this same loop of conflict. It's time for us to break free from this, like get out of this loop. Like let's end, because this year is pretty much gone. Like I literally went to the store. We went to Hobby Lobby and we saw like Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas. I'm like, oh, is this year gone? Like this year is practically gone, but let's leave this year with breaking free from the conflict of PMDD, because I know for me, if I didn't have the conflicts in my PMDD relationship, I can deal with pretty much anything because it relieves the stress. And that's what I've noticed. Last month was so chaotic. This month has been so peaceful. And I feel, I don't just see the difference in my symptoms, I feel the difference. I'm like, man, we haven't fought once. And I'm on day 12 of PMDD. So I have about 2 to 3 more days. I hope my cycle comes soon. Because I've just been feeling so good about this particular cycle and just the work that I've been doing specifically around conflict, that it's like, oh, this is really, really working. And if I can get it all the way to the end of the month, like, this is gold. And so that's why I'm working with the Breakup Proof Academy and really getting in there. And I love our lives. They're so interactive. Both partners are on there, or one partner is on there. And it's really just an open forum where we're just real and raw and saying what's specifically going on in our PMDD relationships. There were so many times where I didn't have like a friend or anyone that I could talk to about my relationship when I was dealing with PMDD, because everyone would say, oh, you need to break up. And I just didn't feel comfortable opening up, especially with family or friends, because I felt like they were going to judge our relationship. And then when we got into our follicular days, it's like, oh, we want to have dinner parties, want to go out to eat and all these other things. And, you know, family members are like, oh, you're still with that person. And, oh, I thought they did this. And it's like, sometimes you really just need to get to a point of, you just really need to get to a point of having a community that's separate from your family and friends. I strongly believe in that. Don't mix the two, because I want you to have a break. Like, I know PMDD can be so overwhelming. I don't want your life to be PMDD. I don't want everything to be about PMDD and your symptoms. I believe in you having this community, but I also believe in you having a life outside of this. So if you know that if you have something going on in your PMDD relationship, you have a place that you can go, you can get everything out, you can say whatever's going on, and then you can go back to living your life, per usual. That's the balance that I want with you. And I think that, the partners need that too. There's been so many times where partners are like, okay. We've talked about, our PMDD relationship so much that we're not even really enjoying our good days. I want you to have a balance of enjoying your good days. But you also need to deal with everything that's going on in your PMDD relationship. So that's what the academy is for. That's what the private sessions are for. So make sure, if you know you need a private session, go grab those last couple of private sessions for the month of August. If you know that you need that additional support, join the PMDD Partners Breakup Proof Academy. You're not going to regret it. We are in there every single week. And even for my private clients, it's just a way of getting that kind of midweek reset, right? Because I said my private client earlier, like, there's stuff that goes on in my PMDD relationship every single day. Every single day, there's something that goes on. So if you think about that, even if you're my private client, this is a good supplement to it, right? Because it's like, if you have a private session with me and everything is good, and then, something else comes on during the week, you can come on the live and we can just talk about it. I can give you the tools and we can just get through it. And then you can move on with the rest of your week, move on with the rest of your month. Like, once you deal with the issues that you have, you can move forward. If you never deal with them, they're going to just show up the next time you're in PMDD, show up next month. And at some point, your PMDD partner is going to get tired of that. He or she is going to say, how much longer are we going to be doing this? How much longer are we going to be in this cycle of month after month and nothing's changing? You're saying you're working on this, you're saying you're working on that. Stop trying to work on it by yourself with the tools that you have. If it's not working, reach out and get help. There's no shame in that. There's no shame in that, because I can get you to a place a lot quicker than you spinning your wheels and really Googling on what you can do in your PMDD relationship, where frankly, it's not much there based off of like the research. But make sure that you do one of those things. You either join the academy, get the private sessions, or even do both. And there's a bonus in that. If you join the academy and you get a discount on the private sessions. That was another thing. If you join the academy, you will get a discount on the private sessions. So make sure you do that so we can get past the blaming and get to the point where we are surviving our PMDD relationships in a way that it is causing us to have peace when we're in PMDD, which is so rare. But it's when I tell you the gift that is, like, of going through PMDD and having peace in your relationship, because there's so many other symptoms that you have to deal with. And it's like, wow, I didn't have to deal with anything in my relationship. You need to get there. Join. I will see you in the academy. I will see you next episode. We got this. I hope this PMDD episode helped you and your partner in your struggles within your relationship. And if this is something that you know that you need help with and you need further support, individualized support, make sure you're going to inlovewithpmdd.com and you're getting those private sessions to really work through what you're going through in your relationship, specifically in regards to PMDD. And also, I want you to leave a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts. What this does is it helps other PMDD sufferers and partners find this show that can help them get these free PMDD relationship tools. I remember what it felt like to not know that there were tools out there specifically for PMDD relationships. So I want to make sure that you are sharing these tools with others, share them on your social media, share them with people that you know that are also struggling in their PMDD relationships. Until next episode, this is Dr. Rose, your PMDD relationship psychotraumatologist. One more thing, I almost forgot. I now have the Fresh Start PMDD Partners Workbook. What this workbook can do is if you've had past traumatic experiences with your partner, past fights, past arguments, and they keep coming up every single month in PMDD, I created a Fresh Start Workbook so that you can deal with all of the traumatic experiences that have happened in the past in PMDD rage and all of these things so you can stop going through the same cycle again and again and again. So get that workbook. It comes with a video episode of the actual podcast that I recorded on getting a fresh start in your PMDD relationship. So you're not continuing the same cycle again and again and again. So make sure that you get that workbook. And if you need those individualized counseling sessions, you know where to go, inlovewithpmdd.com. Until next time, we got this. Love you.